Thank you for participating today. We will now begin with questions for Coach Mark Few. Please use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. When you're called on, please state your name and affiliation first. Coach, first question for you. Obviously, a little bit of a long stretch here in between games. How have you guys kind of been passing the time in between these rounds?
First of all, the NCAA's done a great job. They've opened up some different events that the guys have just been so excited to go out and do. We went to the zoo 2 days ago and had a great outing at the Indianapolis Zoo, and other teams took part in it also. And then we were able to go play some top golf yesterday, and our staff, at least me and a couple members, were able to go out and enjoy some of this Indiana sunshine yesterday. It was awesome to be outside and 70 degree day, and I'm feeling it a little bit today. Got a little bit overzealous with my workout. Wasn't quite ready for that.
Our next question is from Karthik Venkataraman, KREM TV.
Hey, Coach Hugh, Karthik from Creme 2 over in Spokane. As you prepare for this matchup against Creighton, what are the things you're looking out for and what they do well?
Well, they're an absolute elite offensive team, and they, year in and year out. Greg's like brilliant with his offensive schemes. They if you do one thing, they counter with something else. If you do this, they counter with something else. They have tremendous skill, and then now they've got some real athleticism rolling to the rim, and they're experienced. We played 2 years ago in Omaha in a great game, and they have a bunch of players back from that team. So just a great scheme. What concerns me, really, really experienced, skilled guys that really know how to play. An amazing point guard in Zagorowski that knows how to make all the right reads on the ball screens, but also can score and finish. So you get to this level, you're going to play a really, really, really good team, and they're certainly that.
Our next question is from Olivia Ray, Wish TV.
Coach, going back to yesterday when you said you guys got to get out and enjoy the city, I'm working on a thank you letter to the city of Indianapolis for pulling this tournament off.
Yeah.
A little premature, but what has impressed you most with everything that you've experienced here in the last week?
Well, I would open the letter with just an amazing amount of appreciation for the NCAA staff. I think they're easy for people to take shots at, and it seems like everybody's been firing a bunch of shots at them. But I can just tell you that, this is an incredible endeavor that they took on, and one that I've never seen in the 32 years I've been in college basketball. And it's amazing how they thought of everything. It's amazing, what they've been able to pull off, the convention center and the team rooms, and moving from venue to venue. We've played at Hinkle. It was a terrific setup out at Hinkle. It's such a complicated and in-depth. I still kind of marvel at what they've been able to do, and I think all of us coaches feel that way. So I just say thanks to that. I've been coming to Final Fours now for 30 plus years. There's no better city than Indianapolis. And just how the fans are so appreciative and such and informed basketball people. I wish it'd be like normal, where usually like the streets are just loaded with fans and people that love basketball. But it's been great. It's been really, really impressive.
Our next question is from Brenna Green, KREM.
Hi, Coach. Brenda Green from Creme 2. You mentioned yesterday getting out and going to top golf. who was the best golfer on the team other than Corey? I'm assuming Corey was probably the best one, and who was somebody who struggled a little bit?
Yeah, well, like I said, I didn't go. I enjoyed the Indiana sunshine and went out and kind of ran around on the baseball field, which has been an awesome space for those of us that need to get outside and kind of do some things. But yeah, Corey's head and shoulders above everybody else. I believe Joelle would like to think of himself as probably in that second tier, and I probably don't doubt it, but that's quite a drop from where Corey's at the end of that tier, if that's the case. So as you could probably guess, and again, I wasn't there, but I'm sure there was some heavy overswinging and a lot of top balls and probably a lot of slices too, if you know anything about young golfers.
Our next question is from John Blanchette.
Mark, John Blanchette from the Spokesman Review. There always seems to be one or two kind of poster child examples of your program's reputation for player development each year, although I know every player figures into that some way. But on a longer term basis, what have guys like Corey and Joelle done to bring their games up to such a high level, and what role does the staff play in that?
I mean, again, and you've witnessed it, as much as anybody. And they are. I mean, this goes all the way back to the example, Stocks set when he had the key to the gym, and he was coming in there, and that tradition has carried on, now to the point where now it's expected, and if you don't do that, you really don't fit in at our place, and they have access all the time. But listen, Corey and Joelle, there's a reason why they're at this point in their careers. They've really, truly put the work in. They are always in either the practice facility or in McCarthy, working out at varying hours of the day. I mean, if you think about where Joelle was his freshman year to where he is now, I think is amazing. I think I always envisioned Corey getting to this point, but it was because I knew Corey was such a diligent worker and he's always had a plan, so he doesn't just walk into a gym and just start shooting. He's got a plan, and Joelle's the same way, but he brings an infectious enthusiasm with him, and he's really came a long ways. I was one who, when he first got here, I was just like, man, with that body, I didn't know how we were going to make him a functional, high-level Division I player, and he's so much more than that now. It's right up there with the best of our development stories.
Our next question is from Steve Cameron.
Sorry, Mark, I had to fiddle with these things. Outside your bubble, I'm sure you know that fans and the media are going on and on about the possible historic undefeated run, and some are already looking forward to a Baylor matchup and all of these things.
Which is just foolish. That's absolute foolishness. I
was
hope, Steve, you're not participating in that foolish endeavor.
How do you, but more important than me, considerably, how are you keeping the players from, are they managing to keep that all out of their heads?
I mean, I think so. I think we've kept it out of our heads all year. I mean, bear in mind now, people, we've been number one this entire year. So, I mean, dating back all the way into October or whenever the polls came out, or even this summer, and it was amazing. And that was just how many guys we lost from the previous year. I think what did we lose? 3 starters or something. So, they've been incredible with just focusing on the next game. I mean, even through a WCC season, which isn't easy, when you're not playing as many high-profile teams. So they have the utmost respect for Creighton. They know how good Creighton is. They know how dangerous Creighton is, and they know if we don't play really, really, really good, that Creighton will beat us. So I think they're leaving, all that other stuff to the other people to kind of wax on about, and they're just they're enjoying the heck out of being with each other. You know, they know there's hopefully, you know, a week and a half or 2 weeks left in this season. And two, they're competitive and they're smart competitors. They know that, you know, from here on out, every team is more than capable of taking us down. So they're just preparing in that way. So,
Do you think it's unfair when people write things or say things on television that the season only has two conclusions, which are history and disappointment?
absolutely. I think that's total ignorance, incredible ignorance of what goes into basketball seasons and the importance of what you can take out of basketball seasons. And these are memories of a lifetime. You know, for people to put that kind of this or that on us. I mean, we've never won a national championship by now. If we were like the UCLA teams back in the day, I guess you could maybe load that upon us, even though every team is different every year, right? So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's just lazy journalism, quite frankly, and they don't understand. Like, we've enjoyed the heck out of every game, even going, you know, and the summer workouts, and we've grown, and these experiences we'll carry for the rest of our lives, but that's not going to take away anything. But don't misconstrue that as with us not wanting to give anything and everything we possibly have within our souls and our bodies to win, you know, these 4 more games. So, but yeah, I think that's just really shallow.
Our next question is from Jim Meehan.
Hey, Mark. Jim Meehan, Spokesman Review. You've got kind of a nice mixture of experience with Corey and Joelle and then the younger guys this year. And you've kind of had an ability to have teams grow older, Silas and Shem and Perk. With the recruiting rules going in, that one-time transfer rule, and then the option of players to return from this season, what is recruiting going to look like across the country this spring, and is it going to get harder to kind of grow a team older together?
Yeah, well, I mean, great point. I think it's something that, listen, I think one thing that I know I spend a ton of time on is just the team building process and roster management and all that. And it is very important. It's very important. I talk to the staff all the time. You know, we need to continue to stay as old as we can, but, you know, continue to add, you know, really, really good young players too, that we can go through the development process like we talked about with Joelle and Corey and so many of all the great Zags that we've been fortunate to have over the years. So it's quite a balance. It's just going to be different this year. There's no sense, you know, complaining or anything. It's just going to be different. And I think coaches will all adjust to it. We're certainly going to adjust to it. I mean, our goal is to stay as old and as experienced as we can, all the while adding, you know, as many great players that fit, you know, what always works for Gonzaga, which is what we talked about. You got to have a willingness to come in and really work outside of practice. You got to be a great teammate and care about winning in college, but all the while, you know, it's have your eye on developing yourself into a great professional at the end of it. And so we're in the middle of that process right now, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting spring and summer.
Our next question is from Billy Witz.
Hi, Mark. This is Billy Witz with the New York Times. I'm writing a story on Hinkle, and I'm just wondering, coaches of your generation, what did that movie mean to you? You know, I think both you and, you know, your colleagues of that age, kind of when it came out.
I mean, I don't know that I was too into the Hinkle part of it. I just thought it was a great story. I mean, for me, it was great to see, you know, I mean, it's so cool to do a state tournament where you kind of combine all the classifications. I know in Washington, a lot of times the highest, you know, level classification, sometimes the best teams or even from the, maybe a classification down or two. So I think that story was just that story and how it all kind of played out and all that. I guess I wasn't too up on the historic significance of Hinkle and all that. It's a great building. They've done a great job since we last played there, kind of redoing it and refurbishing it.
Did you, I guess in the aftermath of that movie, did you see a lot of people running a picket fence?
No, not to my recollection. Maybe some modern day versions of it, but I don't know that it has any. I don't know if it goes back to the picket fence or not, but yeah, definitely not seeing it anymore now with all the ball screen action.
Thanks.
Our final question for Coach is from Andre Monroe, Insider Institute.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. So there's been a lot of quote-unquote upsets in the tournament so far, and you guys are obviously the #1 seed. So have you talked to your team about that and kind of like prepared them and got them into the mentality to kind of know that teams are going to be playing the best against you?
I think the teams are going to be playing their best against everybody, right? I mean, if you lose now, your season's over. So, yeah, we talked all the way, going into our conference tournament. We always talk about that. There's a sense of desperation now, and you've just got to be ready to – there's no holding back now. I mean, there's literally no holding back. It needs to be your best mental effort. You can't be distracted by anything, whether that's, people telling you this or that, or frustrations you had from last game, or even lack of confidence or anything. I mean, you literally need to be your best, mentally, physically, spiritually, team-wise, everything. Because if you're not, you're putting yourself at risk to get beat. And again, I mean, I know, like, technically there were upsets or whatever, but I mean, when you really look at some of these teams, and I know coaches would tell you, like, I don't know that we view them as upsets. I just think we view them as like, man, that's a really good team, and they did this, and we weren't able to do that, and that's why we lost. So certainly now, as it gets whittled down to 16, these teams, every team in this is deservedly in this spot where they're at. And so, if you're not really, really good to great, then you're probably going home.
Thank you, Coach, for your time today.
Yeah, you bet.
We will be joined momentarily by Joelle Ayayi. Please use this time to raise or lower your hand as necessary. We are now joined by Joelle Ayayi, and we'll begin the press conference. Please use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. When you are called on for your question, please state your name and affiliation first. Our first question is from Karthik Venkataraman, KREM2.
Hey, Joelle, Karthik from KREM2 Sports here. It's kind of a little off-the-wall question, but you're known as the team prankster in the locker room. Can you tell me what your top 3 pranks in the indie bubble have been so far?
A prankster. I don't know. I just hide, behind walls and try to scare people. I think I got a couple of guys already. I just knock on doors and run. Kind of childish, but it always works. And I would just, tap your back on one side and. You better turn on the right side, because otherwise, I got you. I guess that would be the top 3 pranks I did as of now. I'm taking any ideas, though.
If I have any, I'll forward them to Barrett to tell you.
Gotcha.
Our next question is from John Blanchett.
John Blanchett from the Spokesman Review. Joelle, you were younger than most players when you came to Gonzaga. You went through a redshirt year and kind of played sparingly as a freshman. How did those years play into your growth as a player? And what can you say about Gonzaga's reputation for player development?
Yeah, I came really young, and I think Gonzaga is and was known to be a great program in terms of developing young guys. And even though I didn't play a lot my first 2 years, I knew that I was making progress in my game. I knew that I was getting better, and I think that's what matters to me. That's one of the reasons I picked Gonzaga. I trust that they would help me develop as a player, and that I would be one day ready, to get on the floor. And as soon as I was, they put me on the floor, and all the work that I put in, showed up.
Our next question is from Steve Cameron.
Hi, Joel. As long as off the wall questions are coming on today, I've got one for you. When national stories are written, and there have been thousands now about this Gonzaga team, they talk about the big three all-stars and superstars, and it's always the same guys, but they always cut it off at three, and your name doesn't quite make it, and yet you're such a critical part of the thing. Does that bother you at all, or do you just laugh at it? Do the other guys needle you about it, kind of, and say, well, we told them to leave you out of the story, or what? Because given your role, just mentioning three guys on this team seems kind of unfair.
It does not bother me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here to play basketball, and I'm here to just win a national championship this year. I'm here to get better as a player, and the media attention is good for some and is bad for others. I don't really care. I'm not really a big fan of all that Twitter stuff and reading media. I'm fine with leaving this team as a big three. I don't have any problem about it, but I just don't think that I'm really affected by any of that, or that I care that much. If you want to put me in there and call it big four, do it. But I really don't really care about big three or big four or big whatever.
Thanks, Joel.
Yep.
Our next question is from Isabel Gonzalez, Mid-Major Madness.
Hi, Joelle. Isabel Gonzalez, Mid-Major Madness. You guys have been ranked #1 all season, and you're still the favorites. Do you ever get used to that, or is it still something that feels very special and unreal?
That's another thing that is really good for Gonzaga fans, and it's really good for the media. But as a player and as a member of this organization, we understand that it's not about the rankings. It's really about what we do on the floor and getting better every day in practice. I think those are two things that really matters to us. Like I said, I love the fact that the fans can enjoy and brag about the fact that we're #1 and that we are as of now having an undefeated season. But this is really something that us as players, and I'm sure the coaching staff too, don't really care about. We mention it because we have to, and we have to acknowledge those type of achievements because we don't take anything for granted. But this is more a media and fans thing than a player and coach staff.
Our next question is from Brenna Green, KREM.
Hi, Joelle. Brenna Green, Creighton 2 Sports. I asked this to Mark, but since you were there, I will ask you as well. Who was the best golfer on the team yesterday at Top Golf outside of Corey, and who struggled a little bit?
Yeah, obviously, Corey was at the top. I would say that I would start with the people that struggle because it's easier, but I know that Posh and Pavel, Martinez, Aaron, Umar were kind of down there at the bottom. I know Will got a great swing. Matt got a great swing too. I have a decent swing. I got better because I was so bad that I made progress. But other than that, you know, a couple members, you know, in the, you know, I know Barry Anderson got a good swing. Josh got a good swing. Matt Villarreal was next to me, and him and I would go head to head, you know. So I would say he got a decent one, but yeah.
Our next question is from Jim Meehan.
Hey, Joelle. The similarities maybe between you guys and Creighton, what you see when you're watching them with the ball screen packages. And are there similarities beyond that? Maybe the versatility of the players in positionless play?
Yeah, I would say, you know, they obviously play a really good offensive style, you know. The ball is moving, they're finding shooters, and everybody's, you know, playing to the full of their abilities while respecting their role on the floor. Like you said, ball screen continuity and ball movement is something that we also do. They have a great, you know, rim runner with Bishop, and obviously they have a great point guard with Zagorowski, a great shooter like we do. So there's obviously a lot of similarities, and it's going to be, I think, a good matchup, yeah.
Our next question is from Karthik from Krem 2.
One more silly question, then I swear I'm done. Gonzaga University posted recently these like little player profile cards and then listed some little facts about each player, and they posted one about you. And then I think on it, it said that you didn't like dogs. And I want to know if that's true, and if so, why you picked a team that's mascot is the Bulldogs.
Let's say that I don't hate dogs. They're not my favorites, you know. You know, since I'm a kid, I've never been a big fan of them. You know, we don't know what they think about. So I just think that itself is kind of a risky play to have something or someone in your house. You don't know what they think of at any time. You know, they could come and bite you. You never know. So that's one of the reasons why I like to stay away from dogs. And yeah, the mascot was not really part of my process when I had to choose a school, so I guess that's why.
I figured as much. Thanks, Joelle.
Yeah. Joelle, for your time.
Thank you.
That's it for this news conference. You can find a recording of this press conference in the NCAA digital media